JV Lab. The reason why I wanted to do this program is so that you have an understanding of what all of the elements of debate are. This is how debate rounds work. This is how to win debate rounds. The way to win debate rounds is to understand this is what's going to happen in every debate round you will ever be in. See, debate is about these things. The big six. The big six are the things that come out of every debate. The 1AC stands up and reads its debate argument. It's 1AC, great. It's out there. But that's never how the debate goes. The debate goes based upon what the negative team does. And negative teams can only do one of six things. The reason why I want to do this, and why I'm going to give Mr. Lawson the PowerPoints, and like I said, any of you that want to take them home, tell your lab instructor, I'll email them to them, and they can send them to you. The reason why I want to do this is because I want you to leave your legacy on debate. I was gone from debate from 1977 to 2002. It was okay. Debate went straight to hell during that period. I came back and debate slowly started to get better. And hopefully when you're out there teaching debate to your high schools, you'll help make a difference in making debate better in the future. The debaters of my era saved the economy. The debaters of my era saved the presidency. The debaters of my era are the best constitutional scholars in the country. The debaters of my era, some of them are on the United States Supreme Court. The debaters of my era saved the planet. And the reason why I want you to come back tomorrow is because I am going to give you the source for the greatest card ever written. It is the greatest piece of evidence about debate that you will ever see. If I am in the back of the room and somebody in front of you is reading poetry and taking off their clothes, read this card and you will win. If somebody in the front of the room is talking about they have headaches and you're talking about this card, you will win. This is the greatest piece of evidence about debate you will ever find. Because the only thing in this activity, the only thing in any activity that prevented a nuclear war, honest to God, policy debate. I want you to leave your legacy in the activity. And that means you have to talk to people about debate. You have to know what it is that you're doing. You have to be able to teach debate to make it better. But the other thing that you need to do, even though you may think you know all of this stuff, is learn. Because see, the saddest thing in the world are people who know everything. You ever meet those people? God, you're sitting there talking, or are you one of those people? I know it all. The sad thing about people who know it all is that they got nothing to learn. They know everything. What I want you to do is learn something about everything about debate. This is how a debate round works. Remember, we're talking about winning debate rounds. App stands up, reads its app. The negative will do one or more of these six things. Tyler, in front of me, what will the good negative not do?
Topicality.
Correct! Waste of time. I don't want it. You know what? I'm a lawyer. I got clients. I deal with real world problems. I have debaters from every generation I know referring me cases. I come to a debate tournament, I tell the people at Berkeley, I'll judge all 8 rounds, don't worry, that's okay, I'll do it. I don't want to hear debates about, oh my God, it's not material. How can we debate? Nobody will ever want to be negative. So what? you're reasonably close to the topic, you're okay in my book. Topicality, 3 different things: non-topical, extra-topical, effects-topical. Know them all, because the trick on the negative is that you run one of those and the app doesn't answer it. I have on my Judge Wiki a lie right now because I didn't update it. I put down there, hey everybody, I have voted neg on topicality 3 times in 12 years. 2002 to 2017. Public forum or LD, which is your choice? Maybe he's destined for congressional debate. The trick that I want you to know is, if somebody says one of those 3 things, answer the thing that they say. Because sometimes they'll just say, topicality, T. Who cares? But then they may say, oh, and the plan is extra topical. And you don't answer extra topical, and they have a block that says extra topicality is a voting issue. Answer it. The second thing that a good negative team will do is case debating. Why I loved judging Margaret and Tyler. My God, they were good on case debating. They were very good on case debating. They were almost as good as I was on case debating. No, they were very good debating the case. The third thing people will do is they will read disadvantages. We'll talk about each one of the elements of each of these things. The best kind of disadvantage is a case-specific disad. That requires you to research. Generic disad and politics. That's the big one this year. It's going to be the net benefit to states' counterplans. It's going to be the net benefit to many different things. It's going to be a weird year for politics. But those are disads. You have to use them. The fourth thing people will do is run counterplans. Counterplans. Counterplans kind of disappear from debate from the mid-1950s to 1974. In 1974, the very first counterplan that I had heard in 8 years, or 7 years at that point, was run. It was run in the final round of the Seton Hall tournament. Seton Hall had a big tournament back then. The affirmative was the University of Houston. The negative was the University of Redlands. The University of Houston's affirmative had not lost a debate. They ran an affirmative called mandatory breathalyzers. They put breathalyzers in every automobile. They saved 50,000 lives a year. It was a narrow aft, but it was a good aft. The University of Redlands didn't have a way to beat this aft, but in semis we crushed somebody, and the round got over early, and there was a big gap between semis and finals. So someone went to the library. And I'm thinking about how badly the University of Houston, the Honorable Marvin Isger, United States Federal Bankruptcy Judge in Houston, and the Honorable Linda Listrom, who is the head of the Urban Debate League. I was just thinking about how bad they were going to beat me and this freshman I was debating with. And lo and behold, I come across a book. And the book is about prohibition. And I say, well, God, I seem to remember in this treatise by Zarefsky and Patterson that there was this thing that used to be called a counterplan. Had never run one, had never heard one, had never seen one, had never debated one, and they didn't exist. God, the only way I'm going to beat Isger and Listrom is to cheat! I go to Professor Southworth. Hey, you know what? I think the 1N is going to run a counterplan. Professor Southworth says. He hits me with his umbrella and he says, stupid, man, it's not going to happen. No, I got a counterplan. What's your counterplan? We got a very affirmative panel. God, it's going to be terrible. We're going to get killed. What's your counterplan? How about if we reinstitute prohibition? What? Well, you know, we had prohibition, and I found this book. And this book says during prohibition, there were 8,000 lives saved from cirrhosis of the liver. And the number of automobile vehicular accidents from alcohol relationship dropped by 99%. We were competitive! We saved the same lives that the AF saved. We kind of said that putting breathalyzers in cars would be expensive, and that might hurt the economy. Oh my God, it's a net benefit. Well, there was no counterplan theory back then. We didn't know what to call it. Linda Listrom stands up, and she was a partner at Jenner Block, one of the best antitrust attorneys in the country, one of the best bankruptcy attorneys in the country, before she retired to go become the director of the Urban Debate League and spread the mission of debate in countless urban areas and help countless underprivileged people get their lives better because of debate. Linda Listrom stands up, and she is her persuasive self. The words flow off her tongue like butter. The tears that almost flow up when she writes and talks about the young children that are killed in the back of automobiles by drunk drivers makes the judges just want to vote right then and there. Hold it! Give us a chance! And up stands Mitt Romney. We have a counterplan. We're going to repeal the amendment that repealed prohibition. Let me read from this book. Automobile accidents down 99%, lives saved 20,000. Let me read from this book. 8,000 lives saved from cirrhosis of the liver. We save more lives than they do. Vote nay. The judges, who only care about who kills more people or who saves more people, are called upon to wonder. The Honorable Marvin Isger stands up. He looks out at the assembled masses of crowds before this final round. It didn't work, stupid! Cross-examination. You say it didn't work. Gosh, Marvin, you got a card for that? No! It's common knowledge! Well, I got a card here that says it did work. And my card's from an authoritative source. It's a PhD. And a PhD went to the University of Texas, which is a hell of a lot better than the University of Houston. I've never appeared in Judge Isger's court. I'd probably be sent straight to federal prison if I showed up there. But, that's the debate. You got a card? I got a card. I got a counterplan. What the hell is a counterplan, he asks. Well, the counterplan is to repeal the repeal of prohibition. We reinstitute prohibition. We got no drunk driving deaths because we got no drinking. We don't need breathalyzers. Had all of the elements of theory. But that was the first counterplan that Professor Southworth or I had ever heard. Here's the kind of counterplans that you run now. PICs, agent counterplans, consult counterplans, different actors. Oh, we use the Supreme Court. Oh, we use Congress. Oh, we agency actors, conditional counterplans, specific advantage counterplans. Oh my God! First time I ever heard somebody, might have been you guys, ran like 4 counterplans in a row. I'm sitting there going, no, you can't do that. I bought it. Tyler was just too persuasive. His 2 advantage counterplans, they both applied to the same advantage, but the other team didn't quite point that out. Tyler was good, but he wouldn't lose. And that was just bad coaching. Oh, Casey's still here. No, he had good coaching, but he just didn't follow their advice. Those are the kind of counterplans we'll talk about. Then there's the K, the P, and the I. Critique, Performance, identity. Can I tell you how long the first performance debate from Concordia College lasted in front of me? Till the first negative started taking off her clothes. That's how long it lasted. Did you debate that team ever, Casey? Yeah. They wanted to debate naked. Okay. Critiques, representation type critiques, method critiques, process critiques, performance critiques, projects, we'll talk about that. And then finally there's theory debate. Framework, specs, various argument-related theory debate. Here's topicality. Like I said, I learned a lot from Margaret last night about topicality and why topicality can be beaten and should be beaten. It's a great thing. If you think about it in this way, you think about ground, you think about what topicality might be. Topicality is the resolution. That's the app. If the app is the resolution and doesn't have some kind of a weird interpretation of the resolution, that's the narrowest thing that's topical. Something that goes beyond the resolution is extra topical. Hi, we're going to improve education and we're going to feed starving children in Africa. Extra topical. Hi, we're effects topical. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give money to independent foundations to have those foundations create administrations to create charter schools, and then charter schools are going to be created, and so we improve education. Elementary schools. And that'll have the effect of improving high school education. Okay? That's effects topicality. Then the last part of the circle is something that's non-topical. I told you, my Judge Wiki lies. At the National Debate Tournament this year, two little sneaky-ass debaters from the University of Michigan ran a topicality argument against a team that wasn't even reasonably topical. That team did not answer topicality well, and the University of Michigan team was pretty good. Tyler, did I ever vote for Michigan over Michigan State?
Not in my experience, I should say.
Never.
Never.
And I went to Michigan. That's where I went to law school. Doesn't matter. You lose, you lose. So I vote for Keenan. Topicality. Hurts me because then I have to do work. I got to change my judgment. I like to work. So then I get to round 8. Casey, you got it up. I'm judging Gonzaga on the app against the University of Texas on. Oh no, Texas was on the app. No, yeah. I don't know. One of them was on the app, one was on the neg, and the neg ran topicality. Texas must have been affirmative because I voted negative. There is a pretty competent 3-judge panel, with the exception of me, in this round. And it's a down 3 round, meaning the loser does not go to elims at the NDP. So I'm judging Gonzaga against Texas, who is affirmative. I have voted for David Kilpatrick almost as many times as I voted for Tyler Thurr. I give Alex Stransky 30s with great regularity because I like the kid and he's good. And he's a senior and it's his last round if he loses. The neg reads an interpretation of the resolution. The app reads an interpretation of a different term and says, oh, we've got counterinterms. Yeah, but you got a counterinterp to a different word. Stupid! It was a 2-to-1 decision. I was one of the 2, voting neg with Stephen Weil, who is a very good judge and a very good debater. I imagine you prep him very highly as well.
Absolutely.
On the other side was a kid named Patrick Kennedy, who debated at Kansas. And of the 3 previous topicality votes that I made, I voted for T in favor of Wake Forest against the 2 Kennedy brothers. So he thinks I'm going to vote on T because I brought Tim on T. No, he didn't read my Judge Wiki, but it didn't matter. I now have to change it. I voted on negative on topicality 5 times. And 2 of those 5 times I was probably wrong, okay? So I don't vote on T, and the reason I don't vote on T is because I'd rather you debate the substance of the argument. I do not believe there is any merit or proof to the concept that people will stop debating if you allow affirmatives that are bizarre. Who cares? You're going to research anyway, research it. They put it up on the wiki, you're ready for it. Predictability is the essence of fairness. If you're reasonably topical, you're predictable. That's the way I view things. I'm probably alone in that thinking, but it's okay because I'm right and everybody else is wrong. The idea and the concept of topicality is that it devolved down to a bunch of word debating, and I just don't have time for that and don't care. So, that's my view. It shouldn't be your view. You should argue T, and T becomes important. Here's why you would argue topicality when you're negative. You win. You win the argument, you win the debate. Twice in the last tournament I ever judged, guess what? Topicality won. It was a game changer. It even got my ballot. It's also a time occupier. You never admit this, that it's a time suck. You never admit that it's a time waster. You never admit this, that it's a time drain. But it is. So you run it. They have to answer it. Away you go. For the neg, it's a tremendous weapon in their arsenal because it is a game changer and a time occupier. And it's typically always available. And it's always available because everybody can define some stupid word of the resolution in some stupid fashion and claim, oh, they're not topical and I've got an Oh, God. When you are teaching debate, teach the elements of these arguments. These are the elements of topicality. On the negative, when it is argued. The A subpoint is the interpretation. You read a definition that might or might not have an intent to define, as I listened to Margaret last night, but you have your interpretation. You have a violation. This is why the affirmative plan does not meet this interpretation. You have standards, and the standards are limits, ground, fairness, predictability. We are so lazy we just came over from public forum and don't want to research. Those are the thank you. Somebody's still awake, thank God. Standards. And then you have voters. Now, the voters that people typically use, fairness education, for those of you from Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and maybe even rural Michigan, a standard that might be useful is jurisdiction. You only have authority, judge, to vote affirmative if you have jurisdiction to vote for the resolution. Anything else is outside your jurisdiction. You must vote neg. Jurisdiction is an interesting concept. The legislative analog to jurisdiction is relationship to a core. Many legislatures, including the United States Congress, have what's called a germaneness test. You can't put a rider on a bill that is wholly unrelated to the subject matter of the legislation. So the analog from a congressional standpoint to judicial interpretations and jurisdiction is germaneness. When you teach debate, teach the elements. When you debate and you're affirmative, figure out which element is missing. Here's how the F responds to T. You should create blocks in this order, in this way. We meet their interpretation. Just say it. Hi, here's why we meet. Explain it. And if you have a card that can prove why you meet, that's even better. The second thing is, have a counter-interpretation. You want to win debates? Get 3 definitions of every term of the resolution. Why do I say get 3? I say get 3 because the neg might read one of your 3. And then you're stuck with a we meet if that's your only interpret. If you have a counter-interpretation, you have to have a different interpretation. Now, who knows? They may read two interpretations of the same word, and those may be your first two. You need a counter interpretation that's different. You each should have three different interpretations of the resolution that you can meet. And then finally, you can argue that Topkalis is bad. Oh, it restricts my freedom of speech. Tough. On-case debating. This is step 2 in the Big Six. You gotta love on-case debating. You can prepare. Can I tell you how to best on-case debate? Look, there's only maybe 5 advantage areas in any debate topic. Have front lines to each one. Have secondary lines to each one. Oh, the Earth is going to melt. Global warming is bad. Have front lines to global warming. Oh, nuclear war with Russia is going to happen if we don't help pre-K instructions and give them milk. Have answers to Russian nuclear war. Oh, China is going to get very mad and build more islands in the Southeast China Sea, and then we're going to attack them. But that's only if we don't teach Chinese in secondary school. So our plan is to teach Chinese and avoid Chinese nuclear war. Because then we'll be able to talk to China at the kindergarten level and they won't build more islands. Have front lines to China. Then there are the other structural harms, poverty, injustice, inequality. But you've got to have answers to all of these things. And your answers can't be caustic, negative, racist, sarcastic. Your answers have to be legitimate answers as to how you beat the case. So you attack significance by saying the problem is not as big as they say, and it's not as bad as they say. Any of you who debate, typically in Missouri or Kansas, sometimes Minnesota, places around the Midwest where there's great debate but not national travel, you'll want to also think about attacking inherency. For most judges, it's called one of the stock issues. Debate it. Prove that some element of the status quo is different than what the app says it is. Attacking the inherency is meaning that the status quo is different than what they say, or if you have better or more recent evidence, attack inherency by saying the status quo changed. Between the time they wrote this app and today, it changed. Here's the new statute. Here's the new regulation. Here's the new order. The Secretary of Education had an epiphany and she did something right. Yesterday. You got a card? Oh, yeah. Finally, you can attack the solvency. And this is typically where most debates happen on case, is the attack on solvency. So when you stand up in front of me, Tyler might remember this because I made him do it all the time when he was negged. 3 off and insolvency. See, when you're negged, it's not solvency. When you're negged, it's insolvency. Hi, judge, 4 off, case, and insolvency. Call it what it is. The plan doesn't work. The plan doesn't work because there are alternate causes of the problem, and the plan cannot work or solve the problem. This is why you debate the case. And this is what Michigan State has always been good at. They hide disadvantages on case. They explode the disadvantage in the 1NR. They make that disadvantage meaningful. And the 1AR, except if you're from Berkeley, the 1AR is not aware of this, because the 1AR is answering what the 2N has said. The 1AR knows that the 2N is never going to extend what the 1NR says, except if you're Michigan State. And then the 2N does extend what the 1NR says, because what the 1NR says makes a difference in the outcome of the round. The reason to hide that grenade in the 1NR is because the 1AR does not have time to prep out good answers to the grenade. See, if you raise your best arguments in the 2NC, the 1AR's got cross-X time and other time to block it out. If you raise an argument that is a game-changer winner on case in the 1NR, 1AR is kind of stuck for prep time, because then they have to develop it. Winning debates is not just about what is said. Winning debates is about when it is said. If you say something good in the 1NR and the 2NR is not so consumed by their 2NC that they don't think about the 1NR, then you're gonna win debates on the day. Second, it gives you multiple options. You argue the case, it gives you chances to turn the case. You argue the case, it gives you chances to make strategic concessions. You argue the case, it gives you an opportunity to extend your case attacks and turn them into offense. On the app, you must make your 1AC matter every time in every speech. Don't be too quick to concede an advantage. I don't know how these two teams did this. The #1 team in the Copeland race last year at the NDT was Harvard. The #2 team in the NDT Copeland race was Georgetown. They debate each other in the quarterfinal round at the NDT. I'm up in my hotel room taking a nap because I'm old and nobody's ever going to prep me for elims at the NDT. No way. I get a phone call. It's Sherry Hall, the coach at Georgetown. Smelko, where are you? You're supposed to judge this round. Sherry, what are you talking about? It's the #1 Copeland team against the #2, and you want me to judge? Are you nuts? No, no, no. You're in the round. So I go down. I'm not that old. I remember to zip up my zipper. I made it to the round. It wasn't embarrassing. And it's a 4-1 decision. And Harvard makes a terrible mistake. They concede the wrong advantage too early.